can we just look big picture? Where is this heading? How many different investigations could we potentially see when it comes to Epstein's alleged ties with members on both sides of the aisle?
That's an excellent question. I think today's message from Trump is, I'm going to scatter the pond with as many names and theories and rumors as I can to try to degrade the overwhelming evidence against me. This is really just a distraction. Trump, interestingly, in his post today, said, "I want you to investigate Democrats, not Republicans." Now, that's not the way the Justice Department is supposed to work. But I think you could see a lot of investigative activity. We certainly know that between Bill Pulte and Ed Martin and the president, revenge prosecutions are at full scale and going apace. And this is just another segment of that. But it's also designed in large part to try to mask the overwhelming evidence that's accumulating of Trump's associations with Epstein, how long they went on. Clearly, some of these recently released emails and documents document the fact that Epstein was in very close touch with Trump and or the administration, really right up until his death. So the theory that somehow that this was a relationship that was abandoned in the early 2000s, has been blown to smithereens. So that's, I think you'll see a lot of activity. You'll certainly see Trump trying to do as much whataboutism as he can, but nothing can distract from, the evidence of his heavy involvement with Epstein and their close relationship, highlighted by the birthday picture that he drew and the warm message that he gave Epstein recently released, and the documents released yesterday.
So you put this all together, knowing that Pam Bondi has chosen a prosecutor tie to examine any Epstein-Clinton ties, along with some of the others who were listed in the president's post. That certainly didn't take long. But based on what you've seen in the documents, have you seen or found any evidence of criminal wrongdoing?
Well, certainly as to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, there's evidence of criminal wrongdoing.
Yes, of course.
They were both indicted and convicted for, the predatory trafficking of young girls. Right. And as to
in terms of those
Trump,
who have been implicated, though, from Trump on down.
No, as to Trump and Clinton and all these, salacious allegations, no, there is no evidence yet of, criminal wrongdoing. On the other hand, what we do know is that the Epstein files, which Trump has called fake, called a hoax, now he wants it used, notwithstanding it's a fake and a hoax, to be used against Clinton and Democrats. So, there's a little bit of hypocrisy there. And Bondi, as you say, true to form, has jumped up to do the bidding that Trump has directed her to, as she did when he demanded revenge against Comey and Letitia James. But she's not going to be able to make a criminal case against any of these Democrats. This is really just PR stuff to try to dilute the evidence against Trump.
We're talking about the documents released by the Oversight Committee earlier this week linked to Epstein's estate. But now there is this effort in the House of Representatives to vote on releasing the documents related to the Department of Justice investigation. But Ty, are we ever going to see those files actually come to light, be released, considering that we know that this is going to have to get a vote in the Senate, and even if it passed there, it would wind up on President Trump's desk for signature?
Well, it'll be interesting to see. The Democrats are going to have to go on record. Do they want to protect the president or a pedophile? I think, if they do, that's something that the voters should consider, and they should, for everybody who votes not to release these files, they should be thrown out of office. It's clearly a violation of their oath, although that hasn't stopped them so far in the past 10 months. I do think that the documents that are being gradually released are unlikely to result in, significant criminal prosecutions, if any. But I do think that people want to know. People are very interested, and certainly there are some very, very damning evidence as to the president's involvement, very contrary to the denials that he's put forward, and very contrary to the statements by Bondi and Kash Patel and others. So I do think this is an important moment for Americans. I think you're going to see, perhaps as many as 100 Republicans vote to release the files in the House, and I think that'll put a lot of pressure on the Senate for people to vote to release the records. Now, if they don't, they don't. But I think that's something that Americans will take into the calculus at the ballot box.
Well, let's go back to the first term for a second, Ty. This is
Sure.
firsthand for you. When the president compares this to what he calls the Russia hoax. You were there when the president was facing allegations of Russian collusion. Do you see these two cases being the same?
No, I think they're completely unrelated. I mean, one of them was a, election effort, and the president, uses the term hoax. That's a little stronger than what I would go with, but we do know now, years later, that there was a, Clinton false flag operation that the CIA was concerned about and reported to the White House, and he's certainly got a beef with what happened there, but based on the allegations that Mueller understood at the time, and he was unaware of much of the information that that Peter Strzok and Comey had mothballed. So I do think he has a beef about that, but it all got sorted out, and they didn't find any evidence. Here, the evidence is staring us in the face, and it's really a situation where we've got two prior prosecutions, two convictions, and we had Epstein under investigation for these serious offenses at the time he died, which was during Trump's first term, and all these documents that he's mad about coming out now, they were available to his Justice Department in 2019 when Epstein passed away.
Something else that came to light this week is in the government funding bill. It includes language that will allow senators to sue the Department of Justice for damages up to $500,000 if their phone records were captured by Jack Smith in his investigation related to January 6th. We've heard from some senators like Senator Lindsey Graham, who has said that he would pursue a legal route here. Is there a legal case to be made based off of the language that's in the text?
Well, based off the language that's in the text, which is basically, I think you've got to sort of feel sorry for some of these senators who've been enablers for Trump, because Trump's only been able to increase his net worth by $3.4 billion in the last 10 months. These guys, I'm sure they want a taste too. And here you now have 8 senators who think they're entitled to $500,000 merely because their phone records, not phone records of actual conversations. Nobody listened to a word. Nobody's seen a word. Just the mere fact of who were they on the phone with, which was a necessary investigative step to try to pull up the timeline of the insurrection at the White House on January 6th that Trump provoked, and to see who was on the phone, if anybody, with the president or with Mark Meadows or with other potential witnesses or potential defendants at the time, which is it's like if you have a bank robbery and it might be an inside job, you look at the phone records of the employees. You can't listen to them because they've already occurred, but you want to see, is anybody talking to the criminals? And that's an ordinary investigative thing. It's something that nobody deserves compensation for. And the theory that this payoff was snuck into the bill. It's just sad. It's sad for all Americans that the corruption has spread down from Trump deep into the Republican Party.